Hey, how you doing out there? This is Comics Media, and this is your host, Devontae, here with Darius.
Yo.
And we're here to talk about one of my favorite characters you're ever see in comics, Batman Beyond, aka Terry McGinnis. Now, Terry McGinnis comes from the future, Neo Gotham. Like, this is in Batman, obviously, this is Batman, Superman, DC. He's a character in the future of DC Comics, who's born when Batman is an old man. And it's crazy because, Batman in this future, he's like Alfred. Basically, he's giving up being Batman. There is no Batman. Gotham at this time looks futuristic and it's pretty cool. And you can't take away from the fact that this whole Gotham is different. But the creation of this Batman Beyond, I believe, come from DC, Bruce Timm, people in the animated universe who wanted to create another version of Spider-Man for a different, for a younger viewer audience after they made the original Batman the animated series. This character is so awesome because he was born from the sense of Batman needing not needing a Batman, but it was what really happened to him. Terry's father worked for what became of Wayne Industries, or basically the company that Bruce Wayne owned. It was owned by a different guy now, or co-owned by a different guy whose name was Derek Powers. He would turn out to become a villain in the series, who was sort of like the Atomic Skull with his head on fire. Basically, he spit, pretty much, acid powers or whatever, explosive powers or whatever. He's a very dangerous villain, but his father worked for basically Wayne, Industries, and he basically, his father finds out that Derek Powers is making a nerve gas that's, hurt people or whatever, and he knew too much, so his father gets assassinated on the day where him and his father, where Terry, are protagonists. Him and his father argues and they get into it, and that's the last thing he says to him was an argument, and he takes it to heart, and he knows that somebody murdered his father. So going through the initial episodes, Terry figures out what happened to him, and he basically has a run-in with the Jokers, who is another cool idea of a futuristic Gotham. The Joker is no more, but you still got people going off the lore of the Joker, the mythology, the idea of the Joker, and it's people who dress up like the Joker and they call themselves the Jokers, like a biker gang, but with Jokers who be on BS. Everybody know what the Joker be on. So Terry has a run-in with them while he's with his friends or whatever, and they chase him. He winds up going outside the city limits, taking him outside there, where he just by chance is coming up, the same street that Bruce Wayne's manor is on, and he accidentally almost runs over Bruce Wayne. Who after that the Jokers pretty much catch up to both of them in front of his house, and he's able to take, with his help, take him down. And Terry starts putting two and two together, about what happened to Batman. Now, the reason Bruce Wayne stopped being Batman initially in this time period is because, his parents got murdered with a gun. And by the time, the last time he was Bruce Wayne was, maybe 10 years before this. And he was, sort of old at that point, and he sort of had a little heart attack or whatever happened in while he was fighting the villain, and the villain got the upper hand, started beating him, was about to kill him. He, for one last lunge, he was able to get the gun from him, and pretty much he almost shot the villain and was disgusted with himself and vowed never to be Batman again. But that's as we get back into his interaction with him and Terry, I think Terry puts a couple of things together in that moment. And when he figures out exactly who killed his father, when he goes back and figure out with Derek Powers, the man who co-owns, who pretty much runs Wayne, Bruce Wayne's company now, he comes back to Wayne and asks, like, you was Batman, like, why you being, and Bruce Wayne is an old bitter man now because he has nobody left, nothing left really, just him and his dog. But he pretty much asks for his help, like, and telling me he murdered my father. That's when he, I think he broke into his house and he, moved the little watch, the big clock or whatever to get into the Batcave. And he snuck down there. He seen the bat suits. That's why I think he initially found out he was, Batman. and he come back to him. Bruce kicked him out. He come back to him, ask for his help, and then he sneaks into there at the one night, and he takes the bat suit, and Batman Beyond is born.